Namaskar and welcome to NFL Masala. I'm your co-host Anant.
And I am your other co-host, Ruckstruck. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 4 of NFL Masala, where we talk about all the latest happenings in the NFL with a little bit of spice. How you doing today, my man?
I am good. How about you?
I've been good. A lot of news happening. I mean, there's a conclave that's going on right now. The world is going haywire with a lot of things happening, bad and good. But there's one thing that will cure us all. That is football, for the time being. We need that escape. But what do we got in store today, my man?
All right. So this week we are going to be recapping what our teams did in the 2025 NFL draft, starting with Rakshak, then going to me, and then we'll talk each about our 5 best picks, our Shandar picks of the entire draft, so to speak. And that should be it for us today. So let's get started. Before talking about the draft, let's get started about some Hamakadar news, because so far there has been some news.
There's been some news, but before that, I actually want to give a special shout out for what we both had an awesome live day one draft. I want to have to give a special shout out to the following people: Mr. Abhishek Ramani, our full-time correspondent.
Yes.
We have to give a shout out to Garv for joining in, Cameron Stackman for bringing in his Bills takes, and 2 very special people, part of my fellow Eagles brethren, Pete Nathan of the Pete Nathan podcast, and Mr. Asaf Batai of Riding the Bench Eagles squad. I mean, it was a very fun draft experience, man. We went haywire, we laughed, we joked, we laughed a lot, and it was great. And I want to give a special shout out to those guys again, as always.
Yep. And shout out to Varun. He was the one who came in and not carved, but yes. They all provided with insane reactions for us, a lot of fun topics of conversation. So if you guys enjoy our topics of conversation, please check out that live reaction that is on YouTube and has been uploaded to Spotify as well, so you can check it out on all of our platforms. Now, let's get started with that Dhamakadar news. This bit just happened today, and that is...
I mean, when I first saw it, I'm like, holy crap, this cannot be happening. And that's what happened.
It is dumbfounding that the Dallas Cowboys have traded for often troublesome but talented Steelers wide receiver. Tell me if you've heard of this before, a.k.a. Antonio Brown, a.k.a. Juju Smith-Schuster, a.k.a. Martavius Bryant, a.k.a. Who else? Deontay Johnson, a.k.a. somebody else, Emmanuel Sanders, going all the way back to the mid-2000s. Let's
go Burris, a.k.a. the guy who shot himself with a gun with that one time. But I think when he was with the Giants, but still, he was a good wide receiver when he was with the Steelers. But
now
tonight on Where's My Liquor, or tonight on Days of Our Steelers.
Honestly, the Steelers should be happy for getting rid of the cancer known as George Pickens.
But tell me about what was the competition?
So honestly, it was very expensive. The Steelers traded Pickens and a 2027 sixth round pick for a 2026 third round pick and the Cowboys 2027 fifth round pick. This does not make sense to me at all, because here you are in a draft class that is loaded with young wide receiving talent that you could have easily taken. But you took 2 people in the second round, for example, at a position of wealth for you guys. You took Donovan Ezraku when I believe still awesome wide receivers like Alec Ayumanor, who went in the third round. Savion Williams was still there. You still had Jalen Royals, who went to Kansas City now. Like you had so many wide receivers that you could have drafted in the second round or in the first round. I mean, you still had a chance to draft Matthew Golden. Thank God you didn't. But you still could have like traded down and gotten him, or you could have gotten a wide receiver in the second round. But no, you didn't do that. Instead, you went and you got a George Pickens, who's going to create a lot of drama, who's going to be open, is very talented wide receiver. I mean, he's a top 25 receiver in the league for sure.
Oh, 100%.
But are you really capable of dealing with the drama that George Pickens is going to have? That too, not paying Micah Parsons early, not paying any of your other players early, still looking for a long-term contract. And now George Pickens is going to be coming in his final year. It's almost like they've just got him for a 1-year rental, which a lot of things have to go well, right?
Yeah.
If George Pickens gets like 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns and he still doesn't sign and he ends up with some other team, that means you can get like a third-round compensatory pick at that point, and you wouldn't have traded much. But a lot of things have to go well for you to even entertain success with George Pickens. Dak has to be healthy.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head, because that has to be the main goal. If Dak is not healthy, what the hell is his offense?
Exactly. I mean, you gave a 4th-round pick to Jonathan Mingo, right? Or Barcadius Mingo.
It was Jonathan Mingo. It was Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo, and now a 3rd-round pick for George Pickens. It's just like the Steelers know when their receivers are going to hit a wall, right? I mean, you just saw last year, right? After 2023, they traded Deontay Johnson to the Ravens, and then he bounced around in a couple of leagues, and I don't even know where he is. I think he's still on the Ravens. He might be on another team.
I think maybe on a different team, what I've heard.
Yeah, you look at Juju Smith-Schuster, same thing, right? You look at the history of wide receivers that the Steelers have had run through their system, and you can clearly see when that wide receiver is about to hit a wall, right? So this is honestly dumbfounding to me, because you have to hope that he gets at least 1,200 yards and like double-digit touchdowns, and that too deal with CeeDee Lamb, who's going to also, pound the table for manufactured touches as well. So how you're going to manage this offense, how Brian Schottenheimer is going to manage these egos, especially with Jerry Jones being the head honcho and continuously overriding whatever his head coach does, right? I mean, we all know that Brian Schottenheimer is the rubber stamp, right? It's really just Jerry Jones' show.
It is and I think but then again, it's like, does Brian Schottenheimer go through the same offensive scheme that his late father, legendary coach Marty Schottenheimer's used? Mainly it was like a run-heavy style and then hitting with the passing options. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, Pickens does work as a wide receiver too, but if he's not getting the targets and you're instead giving the ball to Jalen Tolbert, Mingo in some cases, and most likely CeeDee Lamb, Enrico Dwaddle, and Jake Ferguson, those are going to be your big 3 that you have to stop. I'm like, this is kind of easy to predict who you need to guard and whatnot. And then I'm seeing Eagles fans saying, hey, welcome to Guantanamo Bay and all that. I'm like, hang on for a bit, because I'm going to say this. Every team in the NFC East did a lot better in the draft.
Yes.
And remember, there's an ongoing trend. No team has repeated the NFC East champion.
There you go.
You know what? Although we're gonna do our division rounds early later on, I'm gonna go on an early bet. Beat the Dole. Eagles are not winning the NFC East. They are They're not gonna win. Dude, here's the thing. The Commanders have gotten better. The Giants got good players, but the coaching is where it is. I think the Commanders can give a little bit more of a challenge. Cowboys, they'll somehow do something stupid. We'll even it out 1-1. That is how it usually goes. Because the thing is, every team has gotten better, and it could go back from NFC least to NFC beast. I'm just gonna say it up front. I'm being the pragmatist right there. I'm seeing, like, from what I've seen these teams do in this draft and how they've addressed this offseason so far, I don't think the Eagles are going to win the NFC East. If they prove me
Man.
wrong,
Okay.
so be it.
Okay. I mean,
They're not going to repeat. That's what it is. I think it's going to be the Commanders that may take over. And I would not be surprised.
okay. Well, I mean, he I thought you guys have the best quarterback in the league. He's supposed to overcome bad situations like this.
No, even with this, but it's like you have to realize like what Kevin Patullo, because like there's a couple of outliers that we have to look into. Kevin Patullo being the new offensive coordinator, what is his style going to be? And we also hired like some new guys, one from Bowling Green. I don't remember who that name is. And everyone's saying, oh, let's go get Harold Fan Jr. And we ended up not drafting a tight end at all. And I'm going to get on to the next bit of news, which is what, you know what? I think this is the best leeway to this, because according to Jeff McClain and other sources, the Philadelphia Eagles and tight end Dallas Goedert have agreed to a reworked contract that will keep him in Philly for the 2025 season. And he's entering his last year of his deal. He's 30 years old. And that would pay him north of $14 million. His new deal will pay him $10 million this season with a chance to earn $1 million more via incentives. This is what Field Yates is telling us. And Howie Roseman doing it again, keeping one of the main cores of that offensive piece that helped the Eagles in a big way during the postseason. When he is healthy, he's a great a good blocker. The yak ball, I mean, especially shoving people to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, even though he was like limited in the Super Bowl only with like 2 catches, those 2 catches were big because he had like 20 plus yards after catch and whatnot. And you're keeping that same core with Jalen Hurts. I mean, you got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, technically Jahan Dawson. Oh, and don't forget Saquon Barkley as well. So, I mean, and apparently Howie Roseman said in one of his press conferences, interview, that he's going to try and bring back the fullback position. And with that, one of our linebacker, our UDFA linebackers in Ben Van Sumeren, he's now designated from linebacker to a fullback. He did play a little bit of fullback, and he was able to get a couple of good blocks, like when he was one of the leading blockers. But technically, you got quad father AJ Dillon, so maybe you could try and play a bit of both in case the NFL decides to go full idiot mode and ban the tush push, which I believe is a crime against humanity, because teams are fools, they're idiots, they're morons, they are dumb old bitches and they're bitching about not stopping the play. Prevent the Eagles from not getting into that situation, you idiots. It's not that hard.
Yep.
So that's all I have to say. Dallas Goedert, is good to have him back. So, and I think like maybe the tight end class here in the draft, other than Tyler Warren and Colson Lovell and Mason Taylor, the rest of it just sucks. So maybe you look at next year, Sam. I think this could be where the Eagles could evaluate and say, and I've heard so many rumors about, oh, let's get Michael Mayers. I was like, no, they're going to keep Dallas Goedert. And I was highlighting the June 1st if they're going to be trading out. So it looks like you don't need to worry about it. Good on Dallas Goedert. Good on Howie.
Mm-hmm.
Good move.
I see you with those transitions. Smooth. Alrighty. Next up, it's not an NFC this time. It's an AFC team this time, and it's the AFC South team that just made a move. The Jacksonville Jaguars have released Gabe Davis this past Wednesday after signing him to a 3-year, $39 million contract. It is a post-June 1 release, which means they're only going to take on $5.7 million of the dead cap hit rather than the $20.3 million dead cap hit had they not made that distinction. So, I feel like that this is it's a good move. See, I think the receiving room just got pretty crowded for the Jacksonville Jaguars, with Travis Hunter coming into town, obviously. So honestly, he hasn't had that much of a success. Like with the Bills, Gabe Davis was your occasional, deep threat, especially in terms of like possession, like red zone situations. But this past year, he only had 20 catches for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns in 10 games in 2024 before suffering a torn meniscus in his left knee and missing the entire remainder of the season. And this average of 12.7 yards per catch was the lowest of his career. So it's going to be interesting where he's going to land next, because honestly, which wide receiver team? I guess the Cowboys.
No, I think I'll go back to the Bills.
That's going to be
go
fun.
back to the Bills on a cheap deal.
Yeah, probably go back to the Bills. So yeah, I guess this is a good move. He had a great career with the Bills before this injury, but it's all going to be based on like how he recovers from this injury now, especially if it's a knee issue. That could be pretty debilitating for a receiver. So yeah, for the Jaguars, I think this is a good move. Obviously, you bring in Travis Hunter, you have Brian Thomas, who are going to be like your 1A, 1B at this point. And then who else do they have? They let go. I mean, they traded Christian Kirk. They let go of they brought in Diami Brown. Okay.
Yeah,
not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. I mean, their emphasis now is going to probably be by running the football. I mean, they have Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, and Bashul Tutin. So they're going to be running the football at least like 40-45% of the time. Even if Liam Cohen comes in and he brings that offensive style. But anyways, we're going to talk about this later down in the season. Let's move on.
Last but not least, in the bit of Kachara news. Yes, we're already getting Kachara news right now. In the month
when do we never get Kachara news?
I mean, flip a coin. It's either going to be good or Kachara. But in terms of Kachara, and this was on May 5th on Cinco de Mayo. The Baltimore Ravens released longtime kicker Justin Tucker. This is during amid an investigation by the league for sexual misconduct. And I quote, and this is from Ravens Executive Vice President and GM Eric DeCosta. Some football decisions are incredibly difficult. And this is
football decisions.
He's doing the
BS.
And this is one of those instances. Considering our roster, we have made the tough decision to release Justin Tucker. Justin created many significant and unforgettable moments in Ravens history. His reliability, focus, drive, resilience, and extraordinary talent made him one of the league's best kickers for over a decade. We are grateful for Justin's many contributions while playing for the Ravens. We sincerely wish him and his family the very best in this next chapter of lives. I mean,
why are they waxing poetic about this man, about Justin Tucker? I mean, yeah, he had some. I mean, he's he's the greatest kicker of all time, but still,
one of the greatest.
The man is a sexual predator, alleged.
I mean, he's been accused of misconduct by 16 massage therapists.
Yeah,
I'm reading this right now. 16 massage therapists from 8 high-end spas and wellness centers in the Baltimore area. From 2012 to 2016, Tucker's first 5 seasons in the NFL. What the hell? Wow. Why am I seeing this right now? And this has happened. And the reason why this is sparking up is because in the 6th round of the NFL draft, the Ravens selected Tyler Loop, kicker, in the 6th round. So this is probably another thing. And I mean, this I have nothing else to say. I'd rather move on because right now he's in the same league with Deshaun Watson.
Yes. Soon to be Cleveland Brown, Justin Tucker.
Or I think, as we were making jokes, soon to be a member of the future North Korean football team, the Pyongyang Stars, with wide receivers such as Antonio Bryant, putting in kicker Justin Tucker, QB Deshaun Watson.
You know what? I would not be surprised if he was on the Epstein list at all. Scumbags only do scumbaggy things. That's for sure.
Okay.
Jack's like, please, let's move on.
I'm just sitting here like this. I'm like saying like,
all right, go ahead. We're gonna move on now.
Yeah.
We're moving on to how each of our drafts, our teams did during the NFL draft, starting with the Eagles. The Eagles, Super Bowl champion Eagles. Rakshak Iyengar, go ahead.
All right. No, correct. The Super Bowl 59 champions by way of belt to ass against the Kansas City loser Chiefs.
Yeah.
Your defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, they started with 8 picks. But knowing Howie Roseman, you know that song? Trade back. That's literally what happened. And it was death, taxes, and Howie Roseman making trades. So how did this... So I expected the Eagles to focus mainly on the defensive line. And then I predicted they would go either round 2 or 3. You address either safety, and then late day 3, you go linebacker or some bits of values. But you go in a completely different route. You go, and Howie has done something that he's done, like going against the grain. Like last year when he selected a cornerback, the first time he selected a cornerback round 1 was like a long time back when he selected Lito Shepherd. This year, this draft, since 1979, the Eagles have not drafted a linebacker.
Wow.
But what they did, they swapped picks with the Kansas City Chiefs.
To move up one spot, right?
To move one spot, they gave up a 5th round pick. And they selected, and I didn't expect this to happen, linebacker Jihad Campbell from Alabama, 6'3", 235. This is basically he can't keep getting away with this meme.
Very much so. I mean, it is, I cannot believe you guys got Jihad Campbell. I thought like the Falcons would get him. I thought the Rams would get him.
I know. I expected the Rams, the Falcons, and hell, he would have made
Commanders
with the Bucks.
Yeah, Bucks. Why does this keep happening?
And here's my thought. I thought the Eagles in this spot, they would trade back and for more picks. Probably go to 33 or 34. And if a team needed QB, like get Shador Sanders. I mean, did you speak before I go on with that? Did you see what happened with Mel Kiper going off on my God. All teams?
He went so ballistic. It was actually sad to see someone like him go cry this hard to the refs, almost like cry this hard to the refs. I mean, it's a euphemism for obvious reasons.
You know, this actually reminded me of the 1994 NFL draft. Remember I sent you that link on how Mel Kiper got into a war with Colts GM Bill Tobin. So long story short, the Colts were needing for a QB because they traded away Jeff George to the Falcons. All they had was back then QB Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to try and make this short. Colts had 2 picks. 1994 draft. One of them, Mel Kiper had them selecting a QB like Trent Dilfer or Heath Schuler. The first round pick that the Colts got, they had Marshall Faulk. You know, and he said, like, "Oh, all right, I think it's a good move, but they needed a quarterback." Instead, Colts GM Bill Tobin goes with linebacker Trev Alberts. I think, Trev Alberts instead of Trent Dilfer, And Dilfer's falling on the board until he gets selected by the Bucks. And then Mel Kiper says this. I think this is a typical Colts fashion pick. You need to get out of quarterback when all you have was Jim Harbaugh. Give me a break. That is why the Colts are picking first in every round and not contending for the Super Bowl. And then later on, the late Chris Mortensen goes on an interview with Bill Tobin, and Bill Tobin's like, who the hell is Mel Kiper? Mel Kiper has no more credentials than my neighbor, and the neighbor is the postman. And then it's the funniest thing. And they literally go off and on and on, and apparently this made the draft more interesting. But
yeah, and then this year, right, when he was going on his diatribe of the NFL and how they are missing out on like one of the greatest players of the generation or whatever bullshit he was spewing out, he was saying like, you know, the NFL in the last 50 years has never evaluated QBs properly. They suck at it. On and on and on. And I'm like, who the hell are you talking to, dude? Are you sure?
No.
32
I want you to call it Bill Tobin right now.
Yeah. Who the hell is Mel Kiper?
There it is. We have GM Anand Salgundi right here.
But like, it's asinine to think that this dude has more knowledge about which QB to draft and a better evaluation process on which QB to draft than 32 NFL general managers.
And I want to say this last part. Hell, if Anand was hired by ESPN, I bet he could do a better mock draft and research than Mel freaking Kiper. Anyone can do it. Hell, my brother Sudarshan, who doesn't follow football that much. Hell, my dad, who's a Cowboy, who doesn't follow football that much. I bet those two could do a better job than Mel Kiper could ever do. Hell, your sister, your parents can do a better job of drafting than Mel Kiper.
But yes.
But yeah, speaking of which, I was surprised with the Jihad Campbell pick. I did not see the Eagles getting him. I thought he would go fall off early. Apparently, Howie was trying to trade up to 22 to get Jihad Campbell. That's what I saw on the Eagles.
I remember the GMs, like the Chargers and I think the Packers GMs and everybody were literally blackballing Howie Roseman. They're like, hey, no, this ain't happening.
And then, of course, the funniest thing with the Commanders, I think Adam Peter said, hey, there's an in-division tax for trading.
Exactly.
But either way, Jihad Campbell fell to the Eagles. And I honestly thought, like, the thing is, he did not have a top 30 visit with the Eagles. His only interaction was during the combine with edge rusher coach Jeremiah Washburn. And basically, you're pairing a guy with Zach Bond and the question being the Kobe Dean being out for almost half the season. You're getting someone and you're filling up with like outside linebacker and edge rushers like an Azeez Ojulari, Patrick Johnson, Josh Uche. I mean, you put Jihad Campbell in there, who he can not only like attack the middle, he could go run side to side, he could attack middle of the field. Did you see that hit he laid up on future Giants quarterback Jackson Dart?
Yes.
I mean, he basically is the linebacker size. He can also play at the edge. And I think like he's more off-suited as a off-ball linebacker, but he's basically Zach Bond 2.0. He has that versatility. And of course, there are a bit of injury concerns, but the thing is he already had a surgery before the draft and he was able to like get through some of the warm-ups, but he didn't hit the pads during the rookie camp, which is like, I think it's okay. But I mean, getting Jihad Campbell in this one, that was amazing. Then round 2, I was shocked again by this pick. Howie Roseman continues to surprise me. And I honestly thought like Eagles say, hey, if we trade back, I would get someone like an Xavier Watts or Kevin Winston Jr. But never in my life will we get, but we need a safety to replace CJ after that trade. Who do we go? We go with your boy from UT Austin, Andrew Makuba. I was shocked. Your thoughts on Andrew Makuba? Because
Yeah,
you're the UT guy. He's like for any UT players, I want to defer to the UT expert here, Mr. Anand Salgundi. Professor Anand, take it away.
yes. So he is your typical hard hitting, down the hill attacking strong safety. I think he's like 5'11 ish. And like 180, 185 or 190 pounds. He's not the heaviest guy, but he plays with a ferocious motor, right? Like he just is constantly attacking, downhill, generating a lot of tackles for loss. But he also has some of the play recognition capabilities required for a safety. And he was instrumental to UT's playoff run last year. Especially, tamping down that backside of the defense while Jade Barron was, attacking the front side of the defense as a secondary player. So, yeah, it was very well. I guess once you guys released CJGJ, I was like, okay, is this going to be an Andrew Makuba team? Because that's the perfect replacement for him.
Yeah.
Right. You already have your free range safety. In terms of like Reed Blankenship and whoever else you guys put in there, which I thought you guys would shore up a little bit more with some free agent signings,
and I think that could possibly happen because there's still rumors that Justin Simmons might come to the Eagles. So I'm like, hang on to your horses. But getting a young stud like Makuba, especially when you have backs like with, no offense, Sidney Brown still recovering from injury. Tristan McCullum, not too good. And Lewis Seen, yeah, he's a Georgia guy, but we're just trying to get him up to speed. I don't even know if he's going to earn a spot, but if he does, I mean, definitely he could fit the Vic Fangio speed. I believe he could play you could put him in the box, outside edge, but box safety role is where he was really good at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, I think he could give Sidney Brown a run for his money if he takes the starter position. I think he can easily be a starter. And I think that was the method that Fangio said, like, hey, I want to draft starters for my team. And that's what he did. And then after this, the Eagles traded back from pick 101 with the Broncos. They got 3 picks out of it. At round 4, I thought this was an underrated move, and I'm good. And spoiler alert, Shandar player, one of my top Shandar players, Ty Robinson, interior defensive line from Nebraska. I remember I was doing like late on third round, I was like doing a mock draft. I said Ty Robinson would be a great fit because the Eagles needed a Milton Williams replacement, especially in the defensive line role, because if you're entering the season with just Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Davis got his 5th-year option approved. Jordan Davis got his 5th-year option. It was signed, which I thought was a really good move. Thank you for that, Howie. Davis, Carter, Moro Ojimo, who I believe he could take over some snaps. Davis better watch out. And I mean, Ojimo, we got him in the 6th round. He's already balling out. And Thomas Booker, who might come back, but getting Ty Robinson, dude, like 6'5", 288. Yes. I mean, in his last season with Nebraska, he had like 13 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 10 batted passes over the last 2 seasons, 1 forced fumble. He's at 288 pounds. And very explosive. And this was like his 6th season. So he's kind of like an older prospect, but he'll turn 24. But he adds the depth, and apparently his RAS score is 9.89.
Yeah.
That is insane. And then Eagles traded again. They traded back. And this one I thought was very, very confusing. Round 5, pick 145. You'll go with Mac McWilliams, corner from Central Florida, 5'10", 191. Undersized. He's more of the outside nickel versatile corner. He could project to play in the slot. So you're thinking he's a Cooper DeJean backup, and he can also play special teams. But I think apparently he was in the Big Ten, and he actually had and he did face a lot of players on the in the Big 12. Because I remember UCF is now part of the Big 12. He faced guys like Travis Hunter, Ted McMillan, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Chimere Dyke from Florida, LeJontay Wester, Colorado, and Jimmy Horn from Colorado. So it's like maybe you got someone to put someone like, I don't know, like an Avonte Maddox replacement. And we already know like Quinyon Mitchell is going to be outside. So outside number 2, you're still going to be depending on Keely Ringo and or Adoree Jackson. But if Mac McWilliams takes a step, I think it just adds more depth to the Eagles corner room for sure. So I was very puzzled by that pick. So I gave it like a B- or a C+ at best, because I thought you would go more tight end or offensive tackle or O-line at best, but we'll get to that later. And then round 5, 161. Just when you thought like how he's going to surprise you, he's like, oh no, let me get back to what I do best is draft depth taxes and draft more Georgia players. Like we got Smile Mondin, linebacker from Georgia. I was like, how do we keep getting away with this crap? Honestly, like I didn't expect. I thought like we would address. The funny thing is, day 3, Eagles would address linebackers, but no, we're doing day 1, and now this. I'm like, what the hell is this? But I mean, like he was a 5-star recruit, ranked 21st in the country in recruiting. Didn't play as a freshman but he was part of that 2022 national champions Bulldogs team with 76 tackles. In 2024, 57 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 pass breakups. He can get into passing lanes a little bit. He's kind of different from like Nakobe Dean and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., but who's better against the run, but apparently Mondin is good with the pass. So he's kind of like the good coverage linebacker. And again, and he was using Georgia as a QB spy. So maybe when you're facing mobile QBs like Jaden Daniels,
yeah.
and I think he may have faced off against Jaden Daniels in the SEC. And technically Jackson Dart I don't know about Dak Prescott, but yeah, it's like
Joe Milton.
Huh?
Future Cowboys Super Bowl champion Joe Milton.
I mean, like he's definitely. I think he could be more of like that package. I think he'll be working out in a package. I mean, 8 Georgia player: Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Keely Ringo, Azeez Ojulari. I forgot we had Azeez Ojulari and Lewis Seen, so I thought it was good. And then the Eagles traded again. 168. I think the later round of the picks, we went full Jeff Stoutland University, meaning we finally addressed the offensive line. So it's like one side, Vic Fangio is keeping Hy Roseman hostage, and then Jeff Stoutland said, "Oh hell no, I want him back." Drew Kendall, 168 center from Boston College. He started 37 games. Apparently his father is Pete Kendall, who was a Seahawks first round pick in the 1996 draft. Drew Kendall, he doesn't have a bit of the size, but he's a great run blocker, good footwork. And apparently they've labeled him a center or guard, so he may compete for a guard position spot in case Tyler Steen and or Kenyon Green is not working at that right guard position. And he could fight off against, I want to say someone like Trevor Keegan or Landon Dickerson if Dickerson gets hurt. But I think he doesn't have like the arm length, so that's why they're going to try and see if he can work as a guard or a center. But he does have the blend of size and athleticism. He's definitely good. He can move from perimeter into second level. So good, strong 5th round pick. But just when you thought it's over, the QB factory is reopened in Philadelphia, by the way. We selected in the 6th round Kyle McCord, QB from Syracuse. Apparently he's a St. Joe's prep. Originally in Ohio State before he transferred to Syracuse. And in Syracuse, super pass happy. He led the FBS in passing for 4,779 yards, 34 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, averaging 368 passing yards per game. 391 on 152. He's more than willing to push the ball down the field. Like he basically has a cannon for an arm. And I think this is going to be a battle between him and Dorian Thompson-Robinson Jr. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And it's kind of like, and I mean, he does not have a bit of mobility. So I think it's going to be more the traditional pocket passer. And plus with Tanner McKee having 2 years of his rookie contract left, it's like you had the McCord McKee if it works out. But I mean, Eagles will always prioritize. And then last couple of picks, Eagles go with Miles, round 6. One of my Eagles people that I talked to, Kirsten, she's a Michigan fan. She loved this pick. Miles Hinton, offensive tackle from Michigan, 6'7", 323, son of 7-time Pro Bowler Chris Hinton, Colts 1983 first round pick. I think like he's played left tackle and right tackle. Good swing tackle option in case the Eagles wanted to do like some special packages on the round. 6'7", 323 pounds, 34 and 1/8 inch arms. Didn't quite reach his ceilings, but swing tackle definitely works out well. I like this pick. And then you go with your boy from UT, Cameron Williams, offensive tackle, 6'6", 317. I love this pick. And I mean, massive big hands. And I know like he was Mel Kiper's 125th ranked prospect, and they had him as a 4th round pick. But I mean, you put him as, and I guess what? I'm going to have a breaking beat the dome moment. He could be the replacement for Lane Johnson. I think from what I've seen, if Stoutland gets him the right, I think he could definitely put in a lot of work, and Stoutland could have a successor. You replace a Sooner with a Longhorn. I think that's the most UT people that the Eagles have drafted.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, in the 6th round, pick 209, you go with Antoine Powell-Ryland, edge from Virginia Tech, 6'3", 258. He finished with 16 sacks in 2024, 3rd most in the nation. Speed rusher, good pass rushes. He had apparently 9.5 sacks in 2023. I think the only downside is like he has like the short arm length, but the crowded edge rushing group with Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Azeez Ojulari, Bryce Huff, and Josh Uche, this is going to be a war. And you have like a ton of insane rotation. I thought like you entered the draft with 8 picks, but then you go and pull off 8 picks. You got a couple of starters, but some picks like the Mac McWilliams and not getting a tight end until later. I mean, that kind of, I don't know, it kind of threw me off. And maybe you could have gone for a wide receiver 3, but I think we just signed some Giles Jackson on the UDFA squad and releasing Tyrion Davis-Price. But I think, again, it's very interesting. I don't know if it's not like a strong draft, but it is very good talent. A lot of players I could see can enter. It can be immediate starters. It's just going to be a matter of where you're going to be fitting in, and if they can make it to the 53 man. Because the defending champions, they got no time for rest. Because heavy is the crowd, it's hard to defend it, and those Rooks better get to it, because time ain't waiting for anyone.
Okay,
and I give this a B+ or an A- at best.
Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was surprised when you guys didn't go for another wide receiver, probably to add some more depth in a deep wide receiver class, but it makes sense. I mean, you had some holes that you would want to fill in the defense, on the defensive side, and as you always say, you guys built through the trenches. So something similar happened to the Packers draft.
Yep. By the way, would you like a score update between the Nuggets and the Thunder? Yeah. The Nuggets are trailing the Thunder 56-91 in the 3rd quarter, 10 minutes and 28 seconds to go. Nuggets 56, Thunder 91.
35 points.
Hey, I wonder if that is going to get blown. Who knows?
Oh my God. Brandon Perna is not going to have a good night tonight.
Yeah.
He's not gonna have a good night tonight.
Uh,
But yeah, the Packers had a pretty similar historic draft as you guys did.
Take it away, man. I love the first pick. I want to talk about this because I thought because I said either Emeka Egbuka. Remember I predicted this. Either get Emeka Egbuka or Matthew Golden, and you guys will win this draft regardless of which.
Exactly.
And
so,
what did I tell you?
For the first time in 22 years,
For the
we
first
draft
time since forever.
a wide receiver in the first round. But yeah, he was one of my draft crushes, man. Wow. Please go ahead. You said you wanted to talk about this.
Dude,
Go ahead.
Matthew
What were your emotions?
Golden,
Yeah.
holy shit. This guy has speed. He has hands. What else can I say?
He has route running. He has
route
football
running.
IQ. He is perfect.
Dude, I'm gonna say this. Wide receiver 1.
Oh,
he's your immediate wide receiver 1. And I'm gonna say this. I think he's gonna get 1,000 yards receiving this season.
Probably. I think because he's the only wide receiver who can actually catch the football instead of dropping it after getting open, unlike the other wide receivers we have. Sorry, but yes, we had a historically high drop percentage.
Right. But I think but that Matthew Golden, pardon my French, everyone, but I fucking love this pick. I was legitimately happy. I'm like, thank God you finally did something right. You got wide receiver. You addressed in the first round. When you saw players that were dropping, I think Ted McMillan, I honestly didn't have him as my number 1. I had Emeka Egbuka because of the experience and the underrated speed and the route running and catching, and with a bigger school. Matthew Golden, he was basically my top 5, but having him, dude, that was perfect. Beautiful. Jordan Love has no excuse whatsoever now. Because here's the thing.
Yes.
You got Josh Jacobs and Tucker Crab, those two guys who can catch the ball. No offense to Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, and Samari Toure, or if he's still there, or Dontavian Wicks if he's still there. But you literally can have wide receiver 1, Miko Hardman or MVS.
I think he's going to be cut from the roster
I think it's going to be. He may be. I think it could be a good thing because if the rookies are taking over, then that means something good is happening. And Matthew Golden, easily a number 1 starter. I think he will fit easily in the Matt LaFleur's scheme, because if you're going quick pass, because Jordan Love, he's a quick passer, right? Matthew Golden fills that. His route running is impeccable. It's so good. You know what he kind of reminds me of? My man, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And
that's what I thought.
And you know what? Do you know how much I love watching Amon-Ra St. Brown run routes?
How much?
This much. Enough about me and talking about it, man. What are your thoughts on the Matthew Golden one?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was perfect. It was perfect. He filled in the role that it needed exactly. I mean, after we lost Christian Watson to that horrific injury, we quickly saw just how downhill it could have gotten. It did go against the Eagles, right? When we lost Jaden Reed, when we lost Romeo Doubs, at one point Dontavian Wicks as well, and our top wide receiver was Bo Melton. I mean, Bo Melton is a good wide receiver 4, don't get me wrong, but he ain't a wide receiver 1. And with all the injury struggles that Jordan Love had to face last year, the biggest hurdle was that his wide receivers couldn't catch. I mean, they had a historically high drop percentage in the entire league. I think the second highest in the entire league last year at 7.2% or something like that. And between Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, I saw this. They dropped, I think, almost 24 catches, and 10 of those catches were on 3rd and 4th downs. I mean, those are critical drive-killing mistakes that just cannot happen if you hope to get into the Super Bowl. I mean, you look at the Eagles, right? When you had a terrible wide receiving core and you had what was his name? Jalen Reagor as your number one receiver, you went out and you got AJ Brown to help the Jalen
after
Hurts.
drafting
And then
Devontae Smith and then getting
right.
AJ Brown.
And then you and then you double dipped and got Devontae Smith, right? So like in the successive offseason, that's what I'm saying. Like you continue to develop the receiving core so that Jalen Hurts has as much support as you possibly can. And it has proven successful, right? He's won a Super Bowl ring because of that super stacked team. And now we just need to do something similar for Jordan Love. We don't need as expensive of weaponries, but we just needed a wide receiver one, and we got Matthew Golden. I mean, he's going to be here for the Packers for the foreseeable future. There is no way that he doesn't make the Pro Bowl this year. He is going to make the Pro Bowl this year. I will say that for a fact. All right. Next up, we build through the trenches. Build through the trenches. That's what we did with pick 54. We got Anthony Belton, who is a tackle / guard out of NC State, North Carolina State. And man, I mean, Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst have some ideas of what they want to do in the future, and that is play big boy football, right? That is what the Eagles did when they beefed up on the offensive line and they got Saquon Barkley. That's exactly what we needed to do because we had, our pass protection was pretty good, but on the interior side, our run blocking was abysmal. Josh Myers was not helping. You had a couple of other guys who were not helping the run blocking scenario, and Josh Jacobs had to do, especially towards the end of the season, Josh Jacobs had to be more of a one-man show. And that's why we got someone like Anthony Belton, who's a huge mauler in the run game. He's almost like an immovable mammoth, 6'6", 335 pounds, pretty decently athletic, but he has long arms that he uses as leverage for, and his plus point is his run game, right? Just the fact that he is immovable. You saw that in the Senior Bowl as well. You saw that in some tapes, a couple games here and there. But like his weakness is that sometimes he could get beat by speed rushers because of his slow mobility around the edge. That's why I think he's going to start as a guard, but potentially replace Rasheed Walker at left tackle in 2026 and beyond. It depends completely on who we're going to have, but the Packers love to value positional flexibility, much like the Eagles, and all good teams love to value positional flexibility in their offensive line and hire a good offensive line coach, right? That's what you want to see. Mm-hmm. So next year, we have Rasheed Walker, left tackle, leaving, Sean Ryan, right guard, leaving, and Zach Tom, right tackle, as free agents next year. Most likely, Zach Tom is going to be extended to a top 3 right tackle contract in the NFL, very akin to what Lane Johnson got as well. And Zach Tom has proven that. But that probably means that Walker and Ryan are released. So this is more like future proofing, right? Potentially for the future, we might have Anthony Belton or Jordan Morgan, our previous first-round draft pick, who is going to, who had not played the entire year because of injuries. He's going to be there potentially as a left tackle. Then you got Aaron Banks, our free agent signing. Elton Jenkins is going to be our foreseeable center now. That's almost, pretty much guaranteed from all the Packers beat reporters. And then whoever is not the left tackle between Belton and Morgan becomes a right guard. And then Zach Tom stays as right tackle. That's probably our future offensive line. So I thought that this was a good move, but it was a reach considering the talent that we still had available. Trey Amos was still there, cornerback. We significantly needed a cornerback in terms of starting replacement. Don't know what Jair is going to happen, right? The situation for him. And then Jack Betch or Jack Beck. This is very difficult for me to pronounce, but Jack Beck out of, I believe, TCU, wide receiver. Or LSU, sorry. He was a receiver that I was really interested in for the Packers to target in like the second or third round, but they miss out on him. He goes to Raiders. And then the shock of all shocks, but actually not if you paid attention, Mike Green, right? He was still available in the second round when the Packers were still there. But we all know why he went to the Ravens, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just love to draft themselves some sexual predators. But yeah, so I think this was a good choice. At the time, I was really upset that we got a tackle, but analyzing it in the future now, with hindsight, this was actually a good move. It was future proofing the offensive line, so it was good. Third round, we got Savion Williams with pick number 87, wide receiver out of TCU. He could be our potential Christian Watson replacement on the outside, especially if he is like, if Matthew Golden becomes your Amon-Ra St. Brown, then we need a Jamison Williams, and that could be Savion Williams, right? With Jaden Reed taking over the slot position, and like gadget positions. So I say this with a lot of question marks because while he is an athletic freak, he's 6'4", 225 pounds with a 4.48 40-yard dash, and he plays faster on film as well with the very quick burst, and that's what you see on film. 1.52 10-yard split, which means he gets to 10 yards in 1.5 seconds, right? So that is incredible explosiveness for that big of a human being. But like, while he is an athletic freak and he is a big body possession receiver, he has a smaller than desired developed route tree for a number one wide receiver, which is why I say a lot of question marks. And he does have a drops issue. But the reason why he could be a long-term deep threat is because he has a 73.5% contested catch rate. So if you see his film at TCU, he makes a lot of splash plays, especially as a gadget receiver. He has a lot of yak that he has generated on film. 43 forced missed tackles that led the FBS this past year, considering the wide receivers that went off the board, like Travis Hunter and Matthew Golden and Ted McMillan and all these guys. This guy led the FBS with the amount of missed tackles that were forced as a wide receiver. So potentially, if he can have his drop problems fixed, then he could be our deep threat opposite to Matthew Golden. But that's the big if. I mean, we have not seen it be successful so far with Jaden Reed, with Dontavian Wicks, with Romeo Dobbs. I mean, it seems like every wide receiver has to hit the jugs machine every single day to get better, but we'll see. Now,
oh, by the way, I actually have breaking Damakadar news, but it's not like football related. It's from Jobs Sharania. He said, sources told Sharania that Golden State's Warriors star Steph Curry will miss at least 1 week after he was diagnosed with a grade 1 left hamstring strain suffered in Game 1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. Yes, on Tuesday night.
That is not good.
I just want to say this. I'm like, damn, let's go. But I mean, it's interesting. I hate injuries, but yeah, I definitely like the Savion Williams pick, but it kind of gives me the weirdest vibes, like Quentin Johnson or Quentin Jefferson that the Chargers took. He has the speed, but he couldn't catch to save his life. And I'm
that's the problem.
This is where TCU's. If you draft a TCU receiver like Jalen Reagor, you're gonna get speed, but they can't catch shit. So that's my concern with that. But if you're picking him late round, that makes more sense. If it was a second round pick, I'd have been like, what the hell's wrong with you?
That's the thing. I think this was a third round pick, and a lot of the players that were on the Packers draft board, like the big board, had already gone. So this is almost like, okay, let's see what happens. Kind of like Tyrone Hopper from last year. Let's just see what happens, how we can utilize this guy. I'm sure Matt LaFleur is going to find ways to get the ball into this guy's hands, because when he has the ball in his hands, he can make magic. Like it is unbelievable the type of gadget plays that he can do. So yeah, definitely a fun player to work with for Matt LaFleur. In the 4th round with pick number 124, we got my favorite pick, actually. The most underrated pick of the Packers draft class. Baron Sorrell, edge out of Texas. Right? I love this dude. He has incredibly high character. I mean, he stayed in the draft room until his name was called in the 4th round. He literally stayed there for 3 days. 3 days before his name got called, because he just wanted to, he had faith in himself, but he also wanted to just like experience everything and be around with his teammates. And reports come out of Texas that all his defensive teammates rave about his energy, and they all say, like, this is the guy that I want to play with, and I want to be around with and hang out with. He also talked about his mom a lot and about how her support fueled him throughout his entire time. And it's just like, this dude is the quintessential Packers pick, because like his size is kind of undersized, but it's more his character. Like the Packers draft players of high character, right? People who are football guys who don't have distractions on the outside. That's why they didn't draft someone like George Pickens a couple of years ago, right? Even though they had the opportunity to, they didn't, because they just don't draft these type of players, and for a good reason. So he is incredibly high character, and in terms of a pass rushing standpoint, he is actually pretty good. He has very explosive hands. Look at the Georgia game, for example. He had a couple of really good moves, some great reps against those tackles. He has a high motor going through tackles. He always tries to pursue the quarterback. And he's an athletic freak, 9.31 RAS with pretty decent production last year, 6 sacks and 11 TFLs. And I think that he can, especially coming into this pass rushing rotation for the Packers, who really don't know, who's going to be the number. I mean, we're hoping that Rashawn Gary can get back to his rookie year status, right? Or like second year status, and just see how disruptive he is. We are also hoping for LVN to become more disruptive. Who knows? I mean, Baron Sorrell might take some of those third down pass rush snaps away from LVN and Kingsley Enagbare. And Enagbare, I think next year is also going to be a free agent. So this could be our long-term edge replacement for Enagbare as well. Enagbare, I think last year was a a couple years ago, was a 5th round pick as well.
I would think so, yeah.
The Packers really love their like late round flyers on athletic freaks who have the potential and have shown some production, but they just need a little bit more consistency. So I think he's going to be a great addition to this locker room. And then they double dip at edge. They went pick number 159 in the 5th round with Colin Oliver out of Oklahoma State. He's your prototypical speed rusher, but he also played off-ball linebacker. I think he's like 6'3", 6'2", 240 pounds. So he played a little bit of off-ball linebacker. And this right now they're setting him as edge, but it provides a lot of versatility for Jeff Hafley to work with. And he likes a lot of talented people. He likes talented players who have positional flexibility. That's also why they signed Isaiah Simmons, right? This went almost under the radar for the NFL, but Packers Twitter, they were going off on positively on the Isaiah Simmons signing, saying that this is going to be a really good selection for Jeff Hafley, right? And I agree with. So going back to Colin Oliver, lots of bend and rip moves around the edge. prototypical speed rusher, as I said before, with all the moves that a speed rusher would give you, like a lot of bend, going around the edge. But sometimes, because of his size, he can get stuck up high, especially trying to go up against bigger tackles, and he might not play with a lot of leverage. So he is also coming off of a foot injury this past year. He only played 2 games, so not a lot of production. But when you look at his 2023 tape, his production was insane. 41 pressures, 49 run stops, 25 missed tackles, four forced fumbles, and he almost played the same amount of snaps at D-line, at edge, and at linebacker. So really goes to show his positional flexibility in it. And, we love that. We love to see that. So it's going to be interesting to see maybe a 4-3 package come in on third down, where you have Quay Walker, Edrin Cooper, Colin Oliver, and then you bring in like Baron Sorrell around the edge, Rashawn Gary up the middle, Kenny Clark up the middle, and then like LVN or Devontae Wyatt, right? Mm-hmm. So they love their positional flexibility, dudes, and Colin Oliver provides that. Now we go on defense again. This time the D tackle out of Georgia, Warren Brinson, at pick 198. This guy is a fun dude, high character, all about football, and he's an athletic freak. 6'5", 315 pounds, with a 9.1 RAS and like an 80th percentile vertical at D tackle. Like, this dude is insane in the 6th round.
And that is really great. That's a good draft pick, like, for that value.
Really showed off in the Shrine Bowl, and his athletic upside. He hasn't had a lot of production, but you could see at Georgia that he was surrounded by a lot of like really talented NFL caliber players, but he still shined in various reps. And this is going to be good depth replacement, especially replacing TJ Slayton in run defense. So I think he's going to be really there on like 1st and 2nd downs, especially early on in the beginning of the games, to get him some more reps, probably to replace Devontae Wyatt, and bring in Devontae Wyatt as a third down edge rusher, maybe, or not edge rusher, pass rusher. So it's going to be interesting to see. And then the Tom Grossi pick 237.
Oh man, that was amazing. I loved it.
Micah Robinson, cornerback out of Tulane, 6'0", 5'11". It's pretty disputed what his official height is, 184. But what is not disputed is his speed, 4.38 40-yard dash. He's a fast boy. He doesn't have a lot of experience. He only played like 1 year as a senior at DB. At corner, but he has really good production as an aggressive man cover corner with 53 passer rating allowed. But because of his aggression, he's been flagged multiple times, right? Multiple defensive pass interference penalties, holding penalties, all that fun stuff. So we'll see if Half can coach it out of him. I mean, just to remind you guys, Jeff Hafley did coach Jeff Okudah to be a top 3 pick. And Okudah, I think, is like on the practice squad of some team at this point now. Yeah. So really, Jeff Hafley can bring out, like, his talent is coaching DBs. So we'll see how he can bring Micah Robinson, up to speed.
Excuse me.
And the last pick 250, John Williams, offensive lineman, guard out of Cincinnati. Another athletic freak, 9.1 RAS, 6'4", 322 pounds. And the good thing with him, he's a guard / tackle, primarily at tackle. He played, all at tackle. He played 874 pass blocking snaps and only allowed 3 sacks in his career. So that is very good. Adding some more depth, as we always do. So at the end of the day, I think we got some really, really good starters, right? A great starter in Matthew Golden, some really good potential starters in Savion Williams and Baron Sorrell. Some future-proofing picks in this case with Anthony Belton and John Williams on the offensive line, Warren Brinson on the defensive line, potentially replacing Kenny Clark in the future. We'll see. And then potentially Colin Oliver, depending on how the edge rushing standpoints go, edge rushing performances go in the future. I believe we should have targeted more cornerbacks, especially in the CB heavy draft. Could have traded up ahead of the Bucks to draft Benjamin Morrison in the second round, or ahead of the Broncos to draft Jahdae Barron in the first round. That means we probably would have lost out on Matthew Golden, so I'll take that as a win-win. And we only spent a 7th round pick and a couple of UDFA signings in Jonathan Baldwin and Kaiser Bugs Brown, he's like the DK Metcalf of DBs. If you've ever seen the picture, he's like 6'3", 225 pounds or something like that. And then he runs like a 4.40 or 4.3, 5.40 or something like that. And has a 40-inch vertical, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. This guy's is an athletic freak. So they did give a lot of guaranteed money to Jonathan Baldwin, the UDFA. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, only spending a 7th round pick in UDFAs is going to be interesting to see. They have a lot of faith in Jeff Hafley if that's the case. We also don't know what happens with Jair Alexander. There are reports that have come out where they're going to come to a resolution. We don't know what that resolution is. Maybe it's a 1-year restructuring of his contract. Maybe it's an extension. Maybe it's a post June 1 release. Maybe it's a trade. We still don't know. So I think overall, pretty good draft. I'm not going to give it a grade because we still don't know a lot about these players, especially how they're going to perform in the future. But I think at the beginning of the day, at the beginning of the draft, getting Matthew Golden really, really like stole the show. Almost like there was nothing that the Packers could have done that would probably have caught up or even beat the emotion that the Packers fandom had for drafting a wide receiver in the first round. So overall, pretty good draft.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think like the Packers did address their biggest needs, especially in wide receiver. They're able to get the depth, and I am not sure about the cornerback position that they got, but I mean, I think they won their draft by getting wide receiver. They addressed it early, and then they went for best player available. I thought that was good.
Yeah, and they built through the trenches just like you guys did. We got 2 offensive linemen, 3 defensive linemen out of our 8 picks.
Yep. And before we move on to our next segment, side by side, I decided to check on like what's happening with the Stanley Cup. Since we're both from Dallas. The Dallas Stars did something incredible right now.
Okay.
The score is 3-2. They're about to start the third period. But again, this guy from Finland that the Stars got on the trade with the Colorado Avalanche, Mikko Rantanen, he scored a freaking hat trick again. Game 7 against in Game 7 against the Avalanche, he had a hat trick. This game, second period alone, 3 goals already. 3-2 against the Winnipeg Jets. That's like I know like part of me for like to those that are listening and I'm going off the rails, but I'm like, this is a great day for sports. I can tell you that for sure.
Hands down. Alrighty. Now on to our final selection. We're gonna keep it brief, guys. Shandar picks of the draft. Buckshot, go ahead.
All right. I think we already share one. I was very upset that the Giants got Darius Alexander. I was pissed because you pair him next to Abdul Carter. I had him high after a great showing in the Shrine in the Senior Bowl, and of course, like you. We thought he would be like an early second round. Following him at the third, you pair him next to Abdul Carter or Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. good Lord. Like you mentioned this before, NASCAR package. I thought that was it, but what I really didn't like, the Commanders also getting Trey Amos, corner. I thought apparently the Commander that grade was actually high. According to Sports Illustrated, I think getting like they had the Commanders. Sports Illustrated gave the Commanders' entire grade a B, which I thought was that's a bit unfair.
That's unfair.
That's
That's
unfair.
why I don't like the grades
But the Trey Amos pick, I was so upset with that because apparently, not like this guy. He has the bit of. I mean, some say like he has a little bit of a length issue, but this guy is a ball hawk. He can press coverage. You pair him next to Benjamin St. Juste, and you already are reinforcing that Dan Quinn type of defense. This is a perfect fit. And then Alfred Collins, defensive tackle to the Niners. You put a big boy in a late round pick. I thought Alfred Collins was a second round pick at best. He falls to like what, third or fourth round. I mean, way better than that Mikael Williams pick, which threw me off completely. You get out. I mean, dominant size, 6'6", 332. He could stop the run, and in his tape, he beats triple teams.
Yeah, he's
beat a triple team.
Insane, man.
The Niners are getting a stud of this dude. So I talked about Trey Amos and Alfred Collins. I'm gonna let you keep the Darius Alexander one, but again, the Giants taking Marcus Mabeau, 5th round. He's underrated as hell. He was predicted to go round 2 or 3, and apparently the Eagles had him in a top 30 visit. And when we were trading back and back and back, I'm like saying, dude, if the Giants get McBow and Darius Alexander, I'm gonna get so pissed. And then, of course, they went up and get Cam Scatterbo. Like the Giants did their homework in rebuilding the trenches, both offensive line and defensive line. O-line was a big hit thing. Was a big one. So Marcus McBow, Trey Amos, Alfred Collins, and I'm gonna say 2 picks from Buffalo. I think Buffalo, when they got TJ Sanders, I like another one thing I really liked about TJ Sanders. He does have like a good app. I think he does have a good size. And the fact that like some of the when Buffalo sent some of their picks to Chicago in order to move up and get him, he's a good run defender. He can gain control of the blocks. Great, can stand up against interior O-line. Has the arms. He has big arms. And maybe he gets like a little bit of the knee bend, but he can go. Blockers have a hard time keeping him sealed. He has a bit of the speed and he has the length, and he's played more than 150 snaps apiece in the A gap and heads over tackle. This is something that Sean McDermott would want, and he can bring enough pressure to have a really good pass rush. So I like this one. I thought the Maxwell Harrison was a good one, but getting Landon Jackson. I think you got a Von Miller replacement. I think like he was apparently one of the top SEC edge rushers. Apparently, he was considered top 50 overall pick. Getting him at number 72, great steal, 6'6". He dominated his combine. He could play off-ball linebacker if needed. First time all SEC with 6.5 sacks and 13.5 tackles for loss. Second in 2024, second team all SEC, matching his prior production with 6 sacks to go with 9.5 tackles for loss. This is consistency. This dude, I saw when I watched this tape, I'm like, he transferred from LSU to get more starting position at South Carolina, and long athletic dude, a lot of sacks. He fought against guys in the SEC. This dude is a dog, and the Bills did really good on this one. So I had Trey Amos, Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders, Landon Jackson, and Marcus Mabeau. Those were my 5.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like you said with Darius Alexander, I mean, what a steal. A steal.
I was
Got
pissed
at
when I saw that.
beginning of the third round. He was like an early second round. Even some people had him go in the first round in many mock drafts. I mean, he is a supremely talented run stuffing D tackle with pass rush upside from the interior, right? In terms of his explosiveness and his production, very explosive hands. And he has a dense lower half, which means like he has far less probability of being moved off his place. Positional flexibility, playing everywhere from 0 tech, so like right across the center, to 5 tech, which is like across or like in between the guard and the tackle. Like, it's insane, especially in the base 3-4 defense that the Giants run. It's gonna be very exciting. And like you mentioned, right, the NASCAR package, dude. If I'm an NFC East team, even the Eagles, I would be scared looking at this defensive line. Is going to be ferocious. Potential like third down package you could have would be Brian Burns and Abdul Carter on the edges, Dexter Lawrence, your nose tackle, Darius Alexander, and Kayvon Thibodeau on the other ends.
You got to have a
Dexter Lawrence.
quick passing game now.
Not only do you have to have a quick passing game, you have to have a quarterback who can get rid of the football quickly and doesn't hold on to the football, right?
Because run it with Saquon or AJ Dillon. Get that.
Yeah.
That's why probably they're going with the fullback position.
Yeah. Make sure that you drill into Jalen Hurts. Get rid of the football.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Hold on
Do not take a
long.
sack.
Jahan Dotson better step up now.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. I beat the Dole moment.
Yeah.
Giants are going to have a top 5 defense this upcoming year.
Oh, I would think so too.
You
That
just
defensive line looks so good.
And not only that, their secondary is also pretty talented. I mean, you look at the safety duo of Tyler Nubin and Javon Holland, their free agency pickup now. Great replacement for Xavier McKinney. Tyler Newman had a really good rookie year. You got Paulson Adebo and Deontay Banks, who are pretty decent corners. Drew Phillips as your nickel. I would not be surprised. I mean, they might end up having like a top two defensive line in the league, and then like a top 10 secondary. Their linebacking core might be like 20th in the league, but who gives a shit, right? When you have like the best defensive line in the league, who really cares? You're giving you're not even giving the quarterback like 2 seconds of time at that point. So yeah, run for your life. That's what I would say to the other NFC East teams. I mean, it's going to be like the Giants, I think, had one of the best drafts this year. Do you agree?
Oh, definitely. This has to be one of I think getting so much talent, like I mean, of course, you had to get the Abdul Carter. Jackson Dart trading a bit too much on that.
Maybe
was a bit iffy, but I mean, look, I literally have like the Giants pulling up. Like, let's review it really quickly, okay?
Yeah, I have it up here.
I have it right here.
Yeah.
So you go Abdul Carter, you trade a little bit to get Jackson Dart. Okay. Darius Alexander, Cam Scatterbo,
Underrated.
Marcus Mabeau,
Underrated.
Thomas Fedone, tight end.
Underrated. He's an athletic freak.
And Corey Black, CB from Oklahoma State.
You potentially have like 5 starters there in the future, maybe 6. So this is literally the draft that Joe Shane and Brian Dable needed to save their jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
No, but I mean, like, it would be really funny if Azeez Ojulari somehow gets up to, or if Jackson Dart meets the same fate like he did with Jihad Campbell, no pun intended, and all that, or Jihad, not Jihad Campbell. I'm saying, I realized I've been saying it wrong the entire time. I'm like, oh my god.
Yes. So excellent draft by the Giants. Now second. So this is going to be another one that's a steal, but because of injury concerns, and that is Will Johnson, corner, drafted by Arizona at 47 in the second round. It was.
I am pissed at the Cardinals. Picking freaking Walter Nolan, Jonathan Gannon, you are a terrorist.
He's so good. I mean, like, before the injury concerns this year, he was the best prospect, cornerback prospect, not named Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the prototypical outside corner who excels in zone coverage. And according to this is a crazy stat. He has a 33% career pick six rate.
What the hell?
3 out of his 9 career interceptions were pick six. Like, this dude, if he is healthy, is the perfect replacement for Pat Pete.
That is insane.
I mean, not for like a like-to-like player comparison, but still, Will Johnson is going to shut down that opposing corner, not as a man cover, but in zone. Like, it's perfect replacement for what Jonathan Gannon is looking for. So yeah, I mean, excellent pick. Obviously, his injury concerns is going to be important to look at. Another team that I really, really hated, who had a really good draft, got all the players that I really, really wanted. Dallas, drafting Savon Ravel, corner, in the second or third round, I believe. Another corner with injury concerns, but a very good selection.
I actually had him as a late first round, early second round pick.
Yes.
To go in the third round?
Yeah. Very good selection. 6'1", 195. You're the prototypical man cover, like, size and athleticism. Very technically sound.
Yep.
Very sticky to wide receivers, more so than like Maxwell Harrison or anybody like that. 42% completion percentage allowed, 59.7 passer rating, 12 passes, PBUs, 3 picks. He doesn't have a lot of games started, but still, if they can tap into his elite skills, it's going to be an excellent pick for them. And of course, he has to stay healthy.
100%, yeah. But I think, like, when he's healthy, this guy is like Siobhan Ravel. Yes, he may have played at a Group 5 conference like with East Carolina, but he's underrated as hell. And the fact that the Cowboys are able to get him, you give a backup for like Trayvon Diggs and or Deron Bland. Maybe you go nickel corner. Oh, man, Mike Zimmer's gonna have some fun with it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially after getting Donovan Ezeraku. I mean, that was another pick that I really, really wanted.
I'm like, what the hell? This
is so good. But yeah.
Bullshit.
The next one is another pick that I really, really, really wanted. Jahdae Barron by Denver. Another DB.
Yeah.
Nobody thought that Denver was going to draft CB at this point.
You would have gone running back. I thought they'd go
Amari wide receiver. Emeka Ibuka. Matthew Golden was right there. Thank God they didn't get him. But they go Jahdae Barron, and they went BPA. I think that's what the scenario was, right? I don't think they were really reaching for a running back, though. Reaching for drafting Warren Hampton at that spot would not be reaching because he's that good. But still, this secondary, man, it's the best secondary in the league. It's the best secondary in the league. You have PS2, Jahdae Barron, Jaquan McMillan, Riley Moss as your corners. And then Talanoa Hufanga and Brandon Jones as your safeties.
I forgot Hufanga, man.
This is the best secondary they've had since No Fly Zone. And that's saying something.
I thought the best secondary was like last year with Darius Slay and Quinyanamo Bay, but then again,
last year, but also I thought you guys would invest more in the safety position. That's the thing,
right? But also apparently Jahdae Barron, Jeremiah compared him to Cooper DeJean. That's his pick. I'm like, that's a bold
I kind of see that. I kind of see that
because But the thing is, like, Barron could play like anywhere else.
Exactly.
And apparently, I was listening to not too long ago. Like, I was listening to Locked On Eagles. Louis DiBiase, one of the hosts, said a good Eagles pick would be Jade Barron. I'm like, how the hell is Philly gonna get this guy? He's gonna be picked up somewhere else. I'm happy with Cooper DeJean, but if you're trying to get Jade Barron to play outside opposite of Dearsley, I would have been okay with it. But we have needs elsewhere, and maybe you check next year for that. But
yeah. So yeah, it's they're not going to give up more than like 20 points, especially with that. I mean, with their pass rushing capabilities as well. I think they have. Who do they have? They have Zach Allen, DJ Jones, John Franklin Myers, Nick Bonito, Alex Singleton, Dre Greenlaw, Jonathan Cooper. I mean, this defense is going to be menacing.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be a top 5 defense in the league, especially with Ejiro. Is Ejiro ever coaching there? No. Who's coaching there as the defense?
for the Broncos?
Yeah.
I believe it's Vance Joseph.
Oh, yeah. Vance Joseph. He's going to have a fun time with Jade Barrett. I think that's what they got him. That's why they got him. All right. Last but not least, I don't care if I'm a homer. I'm going with Matthew Golden, wide receiver by the motherfucking Green Bay Packers. He's the perfect addition to the Packers wide receiving corps.
Okay. Not bad. I think I know why. I believe, yeah. I think like your screen froze for a bit, but but you know what? I can't argue with it. Matthew Golden is a great pick, and it did justice.
All right, you're back.
Yeah. I thought like Matthew Golden. Yeah, I mean you could say that, but then I could also say that maybe Ty Robinson was an underrated pick by the Eagles, or I gotta go with Andrew McCool or freaking Jihad Campbell or Jihad Campbell.
I know.
I could go all that, but I think I'm okay.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for us today. If you guys have enjoyed, please leave us a review at one of the 3 podcast platforms that we host our podcasts on: Apple, Spotify, and Pocket Casts. Or you can find us on
YouTube at NFL Masala. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. And we're also on the following social media platforms: Twitter/X, Instagram, at Threads, at all lowercase at NFL Masala 2022. That is at NFL Masala 2022.
You could also email us at nflmasala@gmail.com, spelled as nflmasala@gmail.com. And we're going to hit you guys with our signature outro. Go Pack Go.
And fly, Eagles, fly. Take care. Have a good night.